Oh, thanks.
You're patriotic.
Uh,
You're a solicitor, come on.
I know. Yeah, I've actually got a joke about that. Give it a second. All right. Well, thank you for the introduction, Campbell. It's funny. Just on the way over here, Gavin said to me, I was grabbing a coffee. You're nervous, and I deflected it with a joke like you normally would, and then it occurred to me, I've been less nervous going to court. But anyway, so this is a presentation about me, Cooper Haywood, solicitor at the Broadbeach Law Group. But before we get to the Broadbeach Law Group, we'll start with introductions. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a Gold Coast boy, born and raised, which, that could either be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on who you ask. Now, like most people that, grew up on the Gold Coast or in their mid-something 20s, I've got a lovely lady in my life, Katie. We met working together at Big W years ago. We've got a roommate, Ryan, that rents off us too, and his partner. And like most guys in my mid-20s with a special lady, I was either going to end up with a baby or a dog. I ended up with a dog. So this is Albie, our English Cocker Spaniel. He likes long walks on the beach and ripping up whatever I leave on the floor. So we'll go back to the beginning. Now, I think you'd all agree, most people, when they're going through high school and they're graduating, they need a good few years to work out what they want to do, right? Like it takes bouncing around a few different jobs to work out what your passions are and what you want to be doing. I'm very lucky and fortunate to say I'm one of the few people that actually knew what I wanted to do. So about, maybe year 10 of high school, I thought, okay, well, look, I want to work in the law in some capacity. I probably watched too much Suits, actually rewatching at the moment, so that's probably says more than we need to. So I enrolled at Griffith Uni here on the Gold Coast as soon as I finished high school. And for the most part, I was pretty good. Didn't go to the uni bar too often, do anything like that. And for the first couple of years, it was going well. And then in about 2017, I started thinking, okay, well, I need to know more. I need to know more about this, this profession I want to get involved in. So I started hunting around for, work experience jobs, like a couple of days a week while I was working my part-time job, go get some experience, work out what I want to do and make myself more employable. So I remember jumping off a plane at the Gold Coast airport. I'd just been in Japan with some friends. I hadn't slept for about 2 days. And I saw an email pop up on my phone from Griffith Uni saying, this firm called Broadbeach Law Group is looking for a work experience student. A couple of days a week, and I thought, all right, fantastic. When's the deadline? 3 hours. Okay, great. Got home, punched out a cover letter, punched out a resume, sent it off, and that was it. Got a phone call a couple of days later. But I'll circle back to that because I stayed there for about a year as a student. That was the last time we did headshots, and good Lord, that is a shocker. I reckon I'm about maybe 19, 20 there. 2017? Yeah, it would have been about 19, 20.
A better one, but anyway.
Yeah, I saw a Cooper JPEG in your folder before when you had that open. I was like, oh. I was worried about that. But look, by this point, I was a couple of years into my degree, had some work experience. I was working part-time, but I thought, well, okay. I never took a gap year. I never did anything like that. And, I'm not really going to have another opportunity. So mostly because my parents said, you'll never be able to do it, I packed my bags and moved to a tiny town called Revelstoke in British Columbia in Canada. There I worked on the ski slopes working as a chairlift operator. Fantastic, got to snowboard to work every day, wouldn't change it for the world. Also would never do it again because getting paid $10 an hour and trying to pay rent is terrible and being like injured every day. So anyway, that was a great 6 months. Then my best mate came over and we jumped in a car and drove down the west coast of the US and then over to the east coast. Now, as you can see of that photo, I clearly didn't know Jay at Barber Capelli Miami, or any barber for that matter. And then I came back and went, all right, time to pull my socks up.
That was the photo I was going to introduce you with, actually.
Oh, fantastic.
I don't need to do it now.
Fantastic. I came back, and in 2020, I got on the phone to the partner that brought me into Broadbeach Law Group and said, hey, look, mate, I need work experience again. I'm getting back into uni. Can you take me back? Yeah, absolutely. Come on in on Monday. So I was back there in 2020, graduated. I was employed full-time by the firm in 2021. So up until that point, I was doing, 2 days a week at the firm, and I was spending the rest of the time working at Big W over at Pac Fair. So, it was great working 9 hours there and then coming and doing 9 hours at Big W. Love that. But then I started working full-time, and for someone that was a bit younger at the time, that was like the biggest pay rise you've ever seen in the world, going from like retail money to law clerk money. So that was fantastic. Then I graduated my Bachelor of Laws with honours in December 21. And when you graduate your law degree, to get admitted to practice, you have one or two options. You can either go back to college and you do, I think it's about 3 to 6 months, and then you have to do 75 days practical experience in a firm, or you just work for a firm full-time, do a little bit of online study, and then you can be admitted that way. I took the second option because I wanted to feel more confident in, holding myself out to be a solicitor for a start. I mean, working 75 days in a firm and then saying, yeah, I can go to court and represent you is a bit of a scary prospect. So I took that option. And then later, I was admitted to practice last year on the 27th of March. But it would be pretty remiss of me to talk about the firm and how I learnt without talking about the people that taught me. So I'll go through the two partners of the firm. The first one is Clinton Smith, who Campbell has a soaring high opinion of.
Yeah, I do.
No, he does. Clinton is a fourth-gen Gold Coaster, so it makes my born and raised first-gen Gold Coaster look pretty bad. Now, when Clinton was becoming a solicitor, it wasn't a uni degree, it was effectively a trade. You went and did what was called an article clerkship for a number of years, working at a firm, and then after that, you could be moved to be admitted. So he did his clerkship at a firm called Trout, Bernays and Tingle, which is now Clayton Utes, which is a very big and popular firm in Brisbane. So he worked in personal injury, civil commercial litigation, mortgage lending, leasing and insurance. He was admitted to practice on the 28th of March in 1978, and he started working in private practice for himself in Broadbeach in 1982. Now, the other partner, Brodie Hatswell, is actually the one that gave me my first interview when I was a law clerk. Now, this was years ago, and he wasn't even an admitted solicitor at the time. He was just about to become an admitted solicitor. And we were both shoved into a little office that was probably about the size of that one, or maybe even a little bit smaller, jammed up together in two little chairs. No leg room, so my knees were like twisted backwards underneath the desk. It was fantastic. But Brodie was born and raised in country Victoria. Then he attended the fantastic Griffith University in Southport. I don't want to hear any Griff TAFE jokes. He undertook his practical legal training at the College of Law, so he took that route. He'd been working for the firm for a good couple of years at that time and had a good bit of experience under his belt. Then he was admitted to practice on the 5th of February in 2018. And then, I should have started with this. He started as a clerk at the firm back in 2016. And that was about the time that Broadbeach Law Group became a practicing firm. Now, there's others. Had to throw it in there. Now we have other staff at the firm. We have Judy, a conveyancer, and we have Jamie at the front desk who operates in a paralegal capacity. Now, Campbell, as we all know, Campbell started off as a teacher, and then he got jacked to that, then became a real estate agent. Now, Campbell was probably in our office about 3 times a day, so we can only assume that he's now trying to be a lawyer. Okay, so we do have multiple services and practice areas. We're not specialised in one area. We do specialise across a plethora of areas, just more so not criminal law or migration. We can do them, but migration we can't do because you need to be specifically licensed. And anyway, we do litigation, employment law, personal injury, family law, debt recovery, property, so conveyancing, buying and selling. We can help you with commercial transactions like leases, business purchases, things of that nature. Do wills and estate planning, probate, contested estates. We can look at wealth protection for you, or insolvency and bankruptcy. I know that's a mouthful. If you want to ask me about any of those areas specifically, I'm happy to help. And now we need to talk about what sets the firm apart, because if you go for a walk in Broadbeach or Southport or around Cavill Avenue, you're probably going to find 20 law firms in the span of 5 minutes, right? Particularly on the Gold Coast. So the number one thing that I like about our firm is that there's a knowledge wealth. So it's not about, locking a solicitor in a room and they do their own work and they don't have any oversight and they've got no one to bounce ideas off of. I mean, when I first started, I was shocked that, Brodie or Clinton, the partners of the firm, would turn around and say, hey, let me run this idea by you. Well, let's have a look at this together. And I'm thinking, wait, I'm just the lowly first-year lawyer. Why are you asking for my opinion? But it dawned on me later that that's how we get good results. We can just walk up to each other and say, look, how do we handle this? Or how should we go about this? What are our options here? And then it gives you ideas that you wouldn't think of by yourself, locked in a little room. The next thing is cost-effective solutions. And I know solicitors have this reputation for money gouging. Now, the thing about us is we're not going to tell you to run a case that's, going to make us a lot in professional fees, that's not going to be the best result for you. We'd rather tell you how to cut it off at the knees, get something resolved now, even if it means we're not going to get much or any work out of it. We'd rather get you the solution that you need right now at the best cost. Next one is complicated issues made simple. And I could probably give an example here. About, a year ago, Campbell referred me a conveyancing job. Now, it was in a retirement village, and retirement villages used to run off this scheme where you'd, effectively, the retirement village would own the lot on title, and then it would be leased to the person that was in the lot, and then there would be a sublease back to the village. Bit strange, I know. And every time the property is sold, there must be a transfer of the lease and the sublease, and they must sort of go together like this, right? Otherwise, you end up with a situation where the person living in the property, your 80-year-old grandmother, doesn't have clear title to the property and theoretically could be kicked out at any moment. Now, Campbell gave me a job like this without anyone really realising what was wrong with it. And for the sake of our client, all I had to do was take them out and say, look, we'll get your sale done for you over here, but right now we need to package up this leasing solution and put it over here. This needs to be dealt with first, then we deal with this. Otherwise, you're looking at two different issues with cross wires the whole time, trying to find a solution to both at the same time. And it just doesn't work. Last one is a duty to a client, and this is the boring educational part of this presentation. So as solicitors, we're bound by certain rules. You have the Australian Solicitor Conduct Rules, and you also have the Legal Profession Act. Now, above all, we have a duty to act honestly, and that is firstly a duty to our client. We have a duty to act with candour and competency. So meaning, the interest of the client will always be first. And this is why you always hear of these, when you're watching a lawyer drama, you hear, conflict of interest, back out. We can't maintain a duty to one person while having a duty to another that might be conflicting. And we can't be honest and we can't act with candour. So that's why if a solicitor ever says, no, I've got to back out, that's usually going to be the reason. Okay, the second is a duty to other practitioners. So for instance, if another solicitor makes a mistake, let's just say they put $5 grand in an email when it was meant to be 10 grand. You're not meant to capitalise on that. If it's something, so obvious it's a typo, you're meant to, treat that person with respect, not capitalise on their mistake and bring it to their attention. And that's so no one gets screwed, really. And everyone can move forward and everyone can act with a degree of integrity and dignity. The last one is an overriding duty to the court. Now, while your first duty is to your client, your overriding duty is to the execution of justice. So, it's a simple thing. If you know your client's about to kill somebody, can't represent them, have to tell the police. Now, that's all I've got. Does anyone have any questions, or should I think of another joke for Campbell? Thank you.
In actual fact, that property, the complicated one, that was referred to me from Anita.
Oh, no way.
And that one was the one that sold for way over what they were anticipating.
Oh yeah, the reserve was X dollars and the first bid and only bid was 50 or 60 more than what the reserve was.
Well, Campbell's got a habit of overselling.
Is that on their duty of whatever, overselling? Well, you're...
Oh no, he's not bound by the same rules.
Yes, Glenn?
Glenn.
Just a quick one. You said not to take any advantage from the solicitor. So the solicitor gives you his brief of what they're doing before you go to court, and he's stuffed up and all like that. You say, we've viewed, we got him. Or do you go back to them and say, hey, look,
It's different. So if he gives me his brief that he has to disclose to me, and there's obvious holes, that's an argument, that's great. If he gives me something he's not meant to give me, then I'm meant to say, I didn't see that, hey, I've got this, I'm going to destroy this now. Please. You're meant to.
Do you have to be admitted to the bar to do what you're doing, or is that something completely different?
Okay, you have to be admitted as a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's slightly different to America.
But there's a bar here.
There is a bar here. That's for barristers. So that's effectively a further specialty. Pretty well. No, so a barrister will appear for you in court. They usually provide counsel on complicated issues. They're employed by the solicitor, so it's effectively the solicitor's or the lawyer's lawyer, effectively.
And just before, I'd like to say, when you were talking before about the camaraderie within their group and asking each other, what do you think of this? Is this the right way, or have you got another solution between you, Clinton, and Brodie? Is so gold. I've listened to it. I happen to be there, etc. And you hear them speaking about, yeah, but what if we did it this way or this way? What do you think? So they bounce the ideas off each other, and that is gold for all parties, isn't it?
It is.
And the beneficiary at the end of the day is the customer, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah,
and we
that's
only charge for one person.
Yeah. Sorry, Glenn.